What's up, YouTube? It's Coach Cory, and today we're going to rank the best and worst brawlers in Gem Grab. Alright, so let's get into it. Okay guys, and as usual with my rankings, this is just my opinion, and of course just because a brawler is low on the ranking list does not mean you can't win with it. Brawl Stars is a team game, very important to have good teammates and a good team comp, so even if you have a bad brawler you can still win. And with that, let's start out at the bottom of the rankings, the worst brawlers in what was Smash and Grab, and I still call it that too often but is now Gem Grab. Alright, at 19, the worst brawler in Smash and Grab, in my opinion, is Piper. Now, Piper does have the ability to be useful in Gem Grab, but really the only map she has that ability to be decent on is Crystal Cavern. All the other maps, it's not long range enough for her. There's too many walls, too much stuff in the way, and she doesn't have enough versatility. She's not a good gem carrier, and she doesn't have enough overall DPS. Damage per second. So Piper just not that great in Gem Grab. Okay, and then at 18, my opinion, the second worst brawler in Gem Grab and really struggling right now in general is El Primo. El Primo in this meta, definitely not very good. Smash and Grab has, Gem Grab, there we go again, has never really been his strong suit either. He doesn't have the range on his attack to build up his super enough to be really useful. He used to be super sneaky, but in Gem Grab where you can just stay in the middle and you don't have to push yourself up too high up the map, a lot of people are constantly checking bushes, so El Primo is just never really that strong in Gem Grab. Okay, and then at 17, another brawler that's not very good in my opinion in Gem Grab is Mortis. Mortis is just not great in this meta. He's definitely a lot stronger, and you can win with Mortis, especially if you get that last second kill and you have Mortis come in, take a bunch of gems, and run away. You can definitely be competitive with Mortis, but a lot of times he just ends up feeding the enemies a lot of supers. He helps them get their supers, and he doesn't deal a lot of damage as it's really hard for him to get close without being dealt a lot of damage first. So Mortis just not very good in Gem Grab. Okay, now let's go over 15 and 16 at once because both these brawlers very similar. In my opinion, are the last two that are really bad in Gem Grab. And that's going to be 16 is Daryl and 15 is Bull. Tanks are just not in the meta right now. They're definitely just not very good. You have a lot of long-range brawlers like Ricochet, and Spike isn't really long range, but counters tanks really well. Nita, a lot of stuff that counters tanks pretty well is high up on my ranking and is good in the game right now. So tanks just not very strong. It's really hard for them to be able to build up their super a bunch without them constantly feeding the enemy their super. Sort of like Mortis before, but honestly a little bit more so. They have more offensive capability than Mortis, but they're still feeding the enemy team a ton. They're just not versatile enough. They're not able to deal enough damage, which is really the only time they're good is when they're doing that. Okay, and now at 14, we have a brawler who's usually never pretty high in my rankings for Gem Grab. And, well, 14's not that high. It's probably higher than he's been before, though, and that's Brock. Brock a little bit better with his rockets being bigger and in this meta, so he can hit a good amount of shots and from a distance on certain maps. So he's not great on a lot of maps, but on a couple other maps, he can win some matchups. And with his super, he can get a couple kills, unlike some other brawlers. So he's definitely able to be used in that way. He can get enough damage to be usable, to be decent, and you can definitely win games with him and maybe even go on some win streaks. But he's not that great. He's not the most versatile. A lot of maps don't suit his long range in general, so he can suffer from that. And then at 13, we have the musical master Poco. Poco just not in on this meta. He really thrives in tank metas where he works really well with tanks, a lot of heal opportunities, and he gets a lot of easy shots. But right now in this current meta, a lot of brawlers you're going to face are going to outrange Poco, and he has to walk into a lot of shots. He's going to end up taking more damage than he deals almost always. Well, I guess he usually did that anyways. But he's just not that great in this meta. Poco doesn't fit in a lot of different places, and he's being outclassed by a lot of the other gem carriers right now. And then at 12, we have another brawler who's not that great, gets outclassed by a lot of other options, but is usable, is not bad, and that's Shelly. Shelly is okay in a lot of different situations, but she's never really going to be a shining star like some of these other guys, but she is usable. And now at 11, we have my least favorite brawler, but he's not bad, is Bo. Bo definitely better, especially since Sapphire Plains is now a gem grab map. He's even more useful than before, but Bo fits in this meta versus a lot of these long-range brawlers. He has enough range to continuously get damage for them, and with his high health, he can stay alive a while and is a decent gem carrier. His mines are also definitely pretty good, and if you don't keep track of them, they can definitely be hard to deal with. Bo, definitely pretty decent. Alright, and then at 10, we have the first thrower. We have Barley. Barley is okay. There's not a lot of maps he's great on. Good on Temple Catacombs, Mushroom Cave, Deep Hollows. You can use him on those maps. The other ones are probably not going to recommend him. He has the ability to put out a good amount of pressure, but generally he's outclassed by Dynamite and Spike, so you don't see him a ton. But he is usable and you can do decent with him. Okay, and then at 9, we have Colt, who is pretty good in general. He does a lot of damage. He's not amazing in gem grab though. A lot of walls make awkward shot angles for Colt, and he generally just gets outclassed by a lot of other brawlers like Ricochet. Ricochet is almost always going to be a better option than Colt in gem grab on a lot of different maps. So Colt just gets outclassed in certain situations, but he has the ability to be really good. If you break down a bunch of walls, he can be even better, and he still does a ton of damage, so you really can't underrate Colt. Okay, and now we're getting into the brawlers that are definitely good in gem grab, and I would recommend you use all of these guys and make up your team comps with, for the most part, some sort of combo of these 8. At number 8, we have Nita. Nita has a lot of health and is decent, okay in this meta. Nita better in a tank meta, but definitely has really good stats in general right now. Has a lot of health, and with a damage buff recently, does decent damage now combined with her overall fast reload. And her ability to shoot around corners makes her a little bit of a control aggro character. So she's pretty good, you definitely can underrate her, and her high health makes her hard to deal with. Okay, and at 7, we have a brawler who, frankly, I feel like gets outclassed by the other gem carriers, but has pretty good stats and definitely can't be underrated, and that's Jessie. Jessie does a decent amount of damage now with her bounce shot, able to get a lot of bounce shot opportunities. Anytime you hit someone, it's honestly somewhat easy to get that second or third bounce shot. It's really hard to miss that, and her turret is pretty decent. Her turret has a bit of a problem right now, and that it's getting taken down fairly quickly with dynamites and ricochets and spikes in the meta, but her turret is definitely still pretty decent. Jessie is pretty decent, has some not bad redeeming qualities, but can tend to lose to crows and lose her gems as a gem carrier, so she's not amazing, but she's definitely good. Okay, and now at 6, we have what is, in my opinion, at the moment, the best aggro brawler in gem grab, and that's Tara. Tara's super is just game changing, and especially with the new orientation, it's a little bit hard to always be aware of where Tara is with her super if she's up the map, and her range of her super is long enough that she can be barely on your map and super you and take all of your gems. And you might have seen me complain about this in some videos. So Tara, definitely strong right now, does decent damage, and actually this is a really good meta for Tara. So that's another reason why Tara is ranked high right now, is she does well for those medium and long range brawlers who have low health that Tara can super and get fairly easy kills versus. So Tara, definitely good right now. Okay, and at 5 we had what is probably the best gem carrier, and that's Pam. Pam right now, definitely strong. I wouldn't say she's overpowered in any sense, but especially in a crow meta, Pam can be needed at times. Pam is also generally good in any sort of medium and long range meta where there's a lot of brawlers on her team that get the benefit of her healing turret. And that's exactly what this is right now. So Pam is very, very in the meta with crow and medium and long range brawlers everywhere. And she does decent damage now, and her healing has always been good, and just her high health as a gem carrier makes her very valuable and really good in that role. So Pam, definitely strong. Okay, now at 4, honestly, I'm not particularly sure he deserves this ranking, as he's not the most versatile brawler for gem grab, but I just feel like he's really strong in general, and that's Dynamite. Dynamite does a ton of damage with his main attack. He's not the most map versatile, and that's why I say I'm not quite sure if he deserves this ranking, as there's really only a couple maps he's really good on, but on those maps you really want to have him pretty much every single time. So Dynamite has the ability to be really, really good. Otherwise, he's probably just decent, but Dynamite is so strong in general right now that it's hard for me to put him lower in the ranking. I would definitely be okay with one of these past 3 brawlers before him switching up and taking that spot, but I think Dynamite is just really strong in general, and that's why he's at number 4. Okay, now in the top 3, in my opinion, these are clearly the 3 best brawlers in gem grab. These guys are OP, and you could probably argue a nerf for all 3 of these, and it would totally make sense. At number 3, we have Spike. Spike, in my opinion, is amazing right now. He's just so good in a lot of different ways. He's very good at spawn trapping, which is really key in gem grab in general. He can hit around corners really well. He's able to avoid damage with his hitting around corners and his decent range. And on top of that, he has a ton of damage potential with the ability to deal over 2,000 damage with one hit, or at least deal 1,400. So he can deal a ton of damage really fast, and then combine that with his super, which is a good crowd control and good at helping him win any 1v1. Spike is really strong. And now at 2, we have what is, in my opinion, the second best brawler in gem grab, and that's Ricochet. Ricochet is just insane right now in gem grab. He's good on pretty much every single map for the most part. Ricochet just has the ability to deal an insane amount of damage and do it without taking damage. He's just very, very controlling. He can spawn trap enemies really well, and his super can definitely win games. Ricochet is just the premier damage dealing brawler in gem grab, and he's also good at spawn trapping the enemy. So Ricochet is definitely unquestionably top 2 in the game. You could maybe put him at 1, but I definitely think number 1 deserves his spot. And at number 1, the best brawler in gem grab, if you haven't guessed it by now, it's Crow. Crow is just useful in so many different ways in gem grab. He's so versatile, and you can win games in a lot of different ways with Crow. You can have him be the gem carrier on certain maps and have him constantly poisoning the enemy, making it really hard for them to heal up and dealing 10% less damage. Or you can have him be a bit of an aggro or support brawler, where he's chipping away at enemies and then he's jumping in and getting an easy one-on-one kill, either on their gem carrier or on a Ricochet or a Dynamite or even a Spike, who is really annoying your team. And Crow just has the ability to dominate games in so many different ways, and that jump ability can be so key, not only as a gem carrier from jumping away with the gems and staying alive, or just as an aggro and killing their gem carrier or killing a brawler that is giving your team a really difficult time. Crow is just strong in so many different ways, and he is the best brawler in gem grab. Alright guys, let me know in the comments, what did you think of my ranking? Did you agree with different rankings? Did you disagree? How would you change it? But alright guys, that's going to be it for today's video. Oh, and I guess you might have noticed I changed the camera position. I'm trying zooming in a little bit. Do you guys like that more or less? Let me know that too. But that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you later.